everyone. All week long, we are helping you live better now. Maybe you read food labels, but do you really understand what all natural or multigrain really means? Well, today we're helping you decipher those nutritional terms. Joining me now is the lovely Rachel Brandeis, a registered dietitian and spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. She's going to start with just taking us through all these great things we have here. And we're going to start with some simple food label mistakes. We, of course, want to make the point that we're not slamming or endorsing any of these products. We're only trying to compare and contrast labels so that you know what's actually inside. So we're going to start with breads and grains, which we have in this corner here. And we're going to start by talking about multigrain. And really, Rachel, I think my question to you is, how do you know you're getting a good bread product with the right amount of grains? Talk me through it.
The key is you need to look at the back of the label. You can't just go off what's on the front of the label. Like if you look at a product like this, it will say all natural multigrain. But if you look at the ingredient list, it says enriched wheat flour as the first ingredient. That's not a good source of whole grain. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to pick products that you turn over the food label, and it needs to say as your first ingredient whole.
Okay.
If it says the word whole, you know it is a good source of whole grain.
Okay.
If it says enriched as the first word or unbleached, then you know it's not a whole grain. So you cannot be just going off the front of the label. Another good example is like a pasta. Well, this says plus on it. Plus doesn't really mean anything.
Because I think people think, oh, plus, it must have some extra goodness.
Right, correct. But you really need to get to the back of the label to look at really what this is. This one says whole. It may not say plus on the front of the label, but it's a whole grain, and that's what you need to look for.
And when it comes to rice, is it the same principle? I mean,
rice is going to be a little bit
more
different because you just have to know inherently that brown rice is a whole grain. So anything that's made with brown rice is a whole grain. If it's white, you know it's refined and processed.
Okay. All right, let's leave the grains. That was really interesting. Again, people thinking they're just seeing plus. You need to look for the word whole when you're looking for
the
grains.
First ingredient.
Okay.
Yes.
I want us to talk about lunch items. I want us to talk about soup. I have a lot of soup in my diet, particularly when it turns colder. And when I see it say light, you know, I initially think, oh my God, it must be so much better for me. What's the deal there?
Well, with soup, what you really have to understand is on the label, it's only based on half a cup serving. And most soups, most people eat the whole thing. So you really have to double all the numbers on the label. And what you need to watch out for is the sodium. It may say light, it may say low fat, but you really need to look at the sodium level.
Interesting.
And you also have to make sure that you know your serving size, because if you're going to eat the whole can, you have to double the numbers.
Okay, that is interesting. I want us to talk yogurt now.
Yes.
Again, a lot of people have a lot of that in their diet. They may have it for snack, they may have it in the morning. Now, you hold that one. That one says light and fit, and this is all natural. Now, immediately, which is better for me?
Well, if you want to watch your sugars, you need to get the light. Just because it says all natural does not mean anything.
Really?
Yogurt is all natural. What's not natural about yogurt? You know?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at yogurt, if it says light typically means lower in sugar.
Interesting. That, again, I would have got no marks for. Want to talk dessert very quickly. We have all these great things here. People have, you know, they have a sweet tooth. They want to indulge, but not, you know, not go too far. Talk to me about this and what people should be looking at on the labels.
What I think is so interesting about ice cream, if you look at an ice cream like this, there's only 5 ingredients on the list. All ice cream and frozen yogurts are standardized with portions. They're all a half a cup. A half a cup of this ice cream gives you 130 calories. There's 5 ingredients in here. You look at this frozen yogurt, 110 calories. The whole ingredient list is...
It's just so much.
It's
look
so
at it
much,
there.
and you're only saving 20 calories. I would rather have the good stuff.
But a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
So you really have to look beyond the labels.
Okay. You have given us some really interesting information, but I think the takeaway we really want to give our viewers is how to read a label. I mean, talk us through the best way to read a nutrition label.
Well, what you really want to look at first is the serving size.
Okay.
You have to understand that if you have a serving, you want to know how much you're having. So if you eat the whole box and there's 4 servings per container, you have to quadruple all the numbers.
Oh dear.
And so many people, when they go down the food label, they're looking at total fat. Oh, the total fat is high. What you really want to look at is trans fats. Are the trans fats high? And I usually tell my clients anything under 2 grams is low in trans fat. You want to keep your total trans fat to 2 grams a day. So if you get a product that says trans fat 3 grams, you know that's too high. And another thing on the food label I like to tell viewers about are total carbohydrates. Everybody thinks carbs are bad, so they'll look at a label and it will say total carbs 25 grams, but you need to look at what's under the total carbs.
How it breaks down.
Yes, you need to look at the fiber. Does this product have good fiber, 3 grams or more? Is this product really high in sugar? You want to look for products that are less than 10 grams of sugar. It doesn't matter if it has carbohydrates unless you're a diabetic and you have to count carbohydrates.
Yeah. That is absolutely fascinating because it's also from listening to you, I've been doing it wrong all these years. I clearly don't know how to read labels, but I think you gave us some really important information. Look at how it breaks down, look at trans fats, look at sugars, look at carbohydrates, all really important information. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we're going to put all this information on our website. People can go to it and they can, take the information they need so that, they can do good and do better in their lives. So thank you.
You're welcome.